Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, or wherever you are listening to in the world right now. You're listening to Jason Cooper. I am your host for the day, and I have a very, very, very special guest, which I'll introduce in a few moments. For the audio listeners, is Joanne Hession. If I can pronounce that correctly, is that right?
No, it's
Yes.
Hession, actually. Rhyming
right.
Hession.
Oh, it's one of those days that I'm just getting everything completely the wrong way round. But that's fine. So I'm a sales strategist, sales coach. I help sales teams deliver better results. This series is all about insightful leadership. It's all about gifted leaders who employ brilliant, unusual strategies to great effect. My guest today has an extraordinary job and one of the most talented people out there in the area that she works in. I'm very excited. She has a wonderful job and extraordinary career to date, and very excited to find out a little bit more about her. So you're very, very welcome.
Thanks, Jason. Thank you so much for inviting me on today. Delighted to be here.
It's going to be good. So really, before we get involved with anything, could you tell me a little bit before you got involved into your entrepreneurial journey, and what were the anchor points along the way that went, this is going to be a great idea, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. Can you give us a little bit of tips about that, and what do you do, what did you did?
Yeah, sure. So I suppose, look, I always loved business. I always, without really knowing it, I always thought I would go into business. When I look back on it now, I was always really suited to business. I was always organizing things. I was just interested in how business worked, and that was something I was really. My dad was in business. He was a CEO in business, and I was always peppering him with questions about how things were happening in the corporate world and internationally and so on. So I was really interested in that. And I studied business, did my master's in business, and then I went into business. And when I went into it, Jason, I think it wasn't, I felt it didn't have as much of a soul as I expected it to. And so and obviously business is focused on money, and it's important to make money. I totally get that. But there was an awful lot of it, it just seemed to be all about money, and the impact and the purpose behind that. I felt it was missing. So I think I hit a little bit of a crisis in my mid-20s and thought, well, maybe it's the charity sector that I'm more suited to, and maybe business isn't for me. And I applied to the Irish overseas aid agencies and got accepted as a volunteer with Concern Worldwide, who were working in the refugee camps after the Rwandan civil war. So this was after the Hutu-Tutsi genocide. And so I arrived over there on the Rwandan-Tanzanian border, and was working in the camps there, getting people set up in homes and so on. And I was very fortunate in that Concern had been asked to set up primary schools. We weren't allowed to set up secondary schools because they didn't want the refugees staying that long, but we were allowed to set up primary schools. And I got for the first time ever, I got a really good insight into how much I had taken for granted my education, and how valuable education is, in that it can get you out of where you are, and nobody can steal it off you. Everything else in the refugee camp could be stolen from you, but if whatever you were learning, you kept it in here, and it was yours. So anyway, I learned an awful lot in that experience. I was there from 95 to just the beginning of 97, end of 96, that time period. And I came back to Ireland and knew that business was definitely for me. The charity world was not for me. I was going to set up my own business. I knew I was. And about a year and a half later, I set up an education company that is the Entrepreneurs Academy, that still exists now. So I suppose I kind of, you learn a lot of these things in hindsight and looking back on them. But certainly for me, getting that really good sense of how important education is, I knew I needed to go. I knew it made sense for me to go into an education business, which is what the Entrepreneurs Academy is, because we help people to set up their own business and to stay in business. That's what we're all about.
That's awesome. I really like the parts where you actually went overseas. You got educated in university, and then you went. That must have been a really sort of good sort of grounding point for yourself to
Yeah.
make sure that you realize that there's more to the world than business, making lots of money and this, that, and the other. Okay, yeah, you have to see the other side of it, but that must have been a really good revelation for yourself to actually go, okay, there's more to the world than making money. Okay, you need to make money to eat and survive and all of that, but how can I flip that to help other people? So creating the Entrepreneurs Academy. Now, how long have you been running now?
So the Entrepreneurs Academy is up and running over 20 years. I've stepped out of it now as the CEO to launch and lead Lift Ireland. But yeah, no, it's around a long time now. So there's a phenomenal team there. They're just amazing, and they keep it running when I'm off doing other things that I'd like to do.
Around the world.
Yeah, they're just amazing. But you're absolutely right. You know, certainly for me and my experience over in Africa, it has never left me. It has never ever left me how fortunate we are. And how fortunate I am that I happened to get born here and land here and didn't get born or landed somewhere else where I'd be less fortunate. So that has never left me, from when I open the fridge to when I turn on light switches to I turn on taps and water comes out, and a whole load of things that, it has never left me how lucky we are.
Yeah, that's really good, solid stuff to actually do. And again, everyone I speak to is different, and you're totally different to what you're doing now. And the entrepreneurs obviously need help and guidance with what they're doing in their careers and starting out. I've started out many a times. I've co-founded a couple of startups, but having that guidance and that help along the way, and for you to do that for 20 years is brilliant. Tell me what happened next, because that's been working really wonderful. And I noticed that I've been involved several of your workshops in Lift. So thank you for that. And it's one of the things that you do say in there is thank you. So you feed forward. So how did you start that? And what was that sort of moment that you went into that?
Yeah. Well, again, a couple of things. When I was running the academy, one of the struggles that I really hit was when I was trying to change things and move very quickly. People weren't necessarily coming with me, and I realized, much to my it was a tough realization that I just wasn't leading well. I might have been managing, but I really wasn't leading well. And it caused me to really start to study leadership and look and see how I could become a better leader. So I got a really, I suppose, a real thirst for understanding leadership. And the more I looked into it, the more I realized that, wow, it's all about what kind of human I am. It's all about my character, that my character builds trust with the people around me. My character is what causes me to have positive influence in my sphere of influence. And how I behave is so important. So a couple of things happened over a number of years, probably over 10 years, combined with me thinking we're very fortunate here in Ireland. That was one thing that I was always thinking. I was also thinking then, how is it that we're good, but we're good with a small g rather than good with a big G? And in some places we're absolutely, we're really fantastic. And I'm not doing this country a disservice, or don't want to do anybody down or anything like that. Yeah. I mean, we really are great and punch above our weight here in so many ways and across so many spheres. But at the same time, we still have things that go on and we go, we're better than that, and we know it. Across our industry sectors, our sports, our church, or, all kinds of different areas. And it used to bug me, because I think to myself, we are better than that. And is there anything I can do about that? So that was one of the things that was on my mind. And so this time 3 years ago, in fact, October 3 years ago, myself and I talked to a couple of other people that I knew well, and we assembled about 30 CEOs in the Shelburne. And And I spoke about this and said, well, look, you know what, I'm going to put my hand up and I'm going to say that I'm leading in my own area, my own kitchen table, in my boardrooms and so on, but I could lead better. And if I do, that will create a positive impact on all the people that I'm dealing with. And if all of us do that, we'll create a ripple effect and a positive change within our country. And so people at that lunch that day said, yeah, look, we'll get behind you. And the following year, in May 2018, we launched Lift Ireland with 24 partner organizations. And really since then, it was around that time that I knew I couldn't run the Entrepreneurs Academy and be involved. And so I was trying to do both at the same time, and then really had to make a choice. And so now I'm full-time just driving forward Lift. We've got a 10-year vision that in 10 years, we will get 10% of the population, and we will equip them and we will show them and empower them how to build their leadership muscle, how to build their character muscle, which is what you were doing on one of our workshops one day. So that's what we're doing. We're equipping and empowering people to become better leaders, to become better humans and better leaders, really. It's better leaders so that we create more positive change in our sphere of influence. And so we've set ourselves that goal.
That's really good. And that's extremely powerful. And again, I have been to one of the sessions. Can you explain for the listeners to this exactly what Lift actually is and what it means and what you do in the workshops?
Sure. So Lift stands for Leading Ireland's Future Together. And our vision is that we will create positive change in Ireland and by Ireland. So that's what we're looking to do. We look at 10 different areas of leadership. It used to be 8, now it's 10. And these are areas of leadership that the people in Ireland have voted for. So we asked them, we surveyed and found out, if we're to become better leaders in this country, what do we need to improve? And the different areas that came out were, well, we need to become better at listening. We need more positive attitude. We need more respect. We need more integrity and honesty, more determination, more competence, more accountability, and we need more resilience, more innovation and adaptability, and so on. So these are the areas that we help people to build. Because if you think about it, you know, Jason, you and I, we'd never intentionally disrespect anybody, as none of the people listening to this would either. But at the same time, we feel disrespected by people, and we do disrespect people. It happens all the time. It's as easy as having a chat with someone and going on your mobile phone. You're immediately saying that my phone's more valued than you are. And that's disrespecting. And so, you know, a lot of these areas have just sort of crept into behavior. We don't intend for it to happen like that, but they have crept in. And what Lift is about reminding people and showing people, look, here's what you do to get back into being better at that. Because behavior change is really, really hard. It's really hard. If it was easy, we'd all eat loads of vegetables and drink all our water and exercise all the time. But it's really hard. It's really hard. So what Lift does is it reminds us what good leadership behavior is, and how we keep getting better and better and better at it.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And I've been interviewing loads of global leaders from around the world, and they're saying similar sorts of stuff. One of them was, if you're in the room, be in the room. So it's a really good analogy of if you're speaking to someone, speak to someone. If you're on calls, be on calls. If you're around and surrounded by wonderful people, be surrounded by wonderful people. So what was that anchor point that a couple of years back saying, what do I need to do to be a better leader? What was going through your mind at that particular time? Because it's good to recognize that. Yeah,
I think I'm 50 now, and in my 30s, I was working really, really hard. And after reading a couple of books, I really discovered that it was me I needed to work on. You know, I tended to like the financial side of business. I love all that side. And so, you know, I was doing all that bit right, but it was only by getting the leadership bit right, by me becoming a better leader, that the business was actually going to do better. So that was one of the points. But I think also for me, Jason, I'm very aware that and again, I think it probably goes back to the time I spent on the Rwandan border. But even before that, I think I've always been very self-aware and aware that I'm very fortunate. And what if, when my days are finished, what if I'm walking down that corridor or up that corridor when I'm going down that corridor, I'm wondering that. I often ask myself, if on my left I have a woman of the same age from Afghanistan, and on the right if a woman from the same age, 10 seconds or something, and they're looking at me and going, what did you do with that? And so it would go through it, or am I actually going to step forward? And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, actually, I really do need to do something about it. And I thought I was going to run training programs and run them for free for nonprofits and charge corporates for them. And I thought that's what we were going to do, and that's what we were planning to do, that we were going to run all these, training programs and so on. And then I was in Paraguay in 2017, and I came across a really simple little self-reflection method. And so I went to the originators of that and asked them, could we have permission to use it? And they gave us permission to use it. And we've used that instead of leadership training. It's just a really neat little stop, self-reflect. How good am I at this area of leadership? How could I get a little bit better?
And I think that's probably I was going to say that's an absolute awesome thing for self-recognition and recognizing for yourself as well, which shows you a high degree of emotional intelligence there, because there's a lot of there are some leaders out there that don't have that, or don't have as much as that as they should do. So what would you suggest to leaders right now in this COVID-19 world that we're in now? What sort of value back could you give them, as in like golden nuggets?
I think probably the thing that comes out most for me is that it's not about, for me anyway, the way I think about it is that it's not about fixing anybody else. It's absolutely that the change has to happen with me. And that if I can change and if I can get a little bit better, then I'll have positive impact on those people around me. And that modeling of behavior will help people around me. And by offering Lift, Lift is wholly inclusive. Everybody is welcome to join into Lift. All you have to do is go to liftireland.ie. You can jump onto a round table in our events section. Your organization can become a partner of Lift. You can bring it into your organization, all those different kind of things.
Yeah.
But I think it's an important realization that it's not somebody else that needs to change. For me, it's if I change and get better, I'm going to lift tides around me. And if you do the same, Jason, and if a whole load of other people do too, then it actually starts to connect. And it's as simple as, maybe because if I work harder at listening a little bit more, maybe I listen to some young person one day, and that has a huge impact on their life and perhaps something they're going through that I may end up finding out about, or I might never find out about. Or maybe that it's my positive attitude that impacts somebody else and helps them with something that they're dealing with. But the thing about it is that the change starts with me. It's all about me. Yeah. Sorry, it's all about me. That sounds awful.
But yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah.
It's not that other people need to change.
Yeah.
I need to change. And I think, we've got an awful lot of blaming going on. We've got an awful lot of criticism going on. If people did this, and whatever. Really, the only person that I can change is myself. So
you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's one of the biggest things that anyone can ever do or even recognize within themselves is, I need to change first. And then, as you say, it's the ripple effect to around. If I'm good to people, they'll be good back to me. If I'm bad to people, they'll be bad back to me. And it is sending those positive vibes to people. So I love that about you, and I do see a bit of a halo effect going on here, which is also very good. Like we've got, I didn't realize that it was only up until a couple of months ago, we're mutually connected by 2 other people, which again is that ripple effect. And they said some really good things about you, which led me to think, oh, I need to have a proper chat with you online and share your golden nuggets of experience to like a global audience, because people want to hear your good messages. So you said there's a 10-year plan to Lift, Arden. Tell me what's next. I'm excited to hear that.
Yeah, so there is a 10-year plan, and we're in year 3 already, which is kind of frightening me a bit. We're nearly 25% the way through. And so years 1 and 2 were all about building foundations, building a strong team, building credibility, proof of concept, and so on. So we did that in our first 2 years. And on our website, you'll see we've an impact report there. Now, we've written it ourselves. I'm aware we've written the exam and have graded it ourselves. But, you know, it really, there's a lot of sort of independent stuff of people putting in their case studies and so on of how Lift has impacted them. So that's years 1 and 2. In the first 2 years, we engaged 6,000 people in Lift. In years 3 and 4, we are all about scale. So now we're ready for scale, and we have already started scaling. In fact, this week already, since school has started, 4,201 transition year students have got their Lift materials and are starting with Lift. So we've nearly doubled our numbers already that we had in our first 2 years, just by the work that we're doing in the schools. And
tell me some more about that you're doing to the schools. So it's just something that popped up of interest. And how do you work with that?
Yeah, so the schools have been fantastic. In our first year, we just took 1 pilot school. It was Confi College in Leixlip in Kildare. And in year 2, we got 28 schools that were interested. They all came to us asking us about it. And what we do is we train their transition year students, and we show the transition years how to lift themselves and build leadership muscle. And then they go into the second year students in the school. So it's the 16-year-olds with the 13 and 14-year-olds, where they go in and they show them how to do it. And it's very, very powerful. It's peer-to-peer. It's a little bit difficult to explain, but it's not that the transition years are teaching the second years. They're actually modeling it for the second years, and then the second years get to do it themselves. So we also have teachers doing it in the staff room. In some cases, we've got parents associations that are doing it, and then people in the community. So this year, in year 1, we'd 2, we had 28 schools, and this year we will have 100. So that's just been fantastic. The take up there has been amazing. In fact, on Saturday, we trained another 9 schools in how to bring Lift into their schools. So, and we have been gifting that to schools. We asked them for a small financial amount, but we really, it's not that we cover it, but all the corporate donations that we get covers it. And if we fall short, or we find it from somewhere, and we just make sure we can get it out to them. But it's really, really important.
Just the proof of concept, because I did it at home, and the empowering thing is when people repeat or read, it embeds into the psyche a little bit more, into the unconscious mind. So I like the way that process works really well. But it is, again, it has to be repeated before it comes into a sort of an unconscious mode. And if it is done like that around the schools, I think it would make a powerful impact. I noticed on your website, is it the Lift Awards or something like that? Did I see somewhere?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we launched Lift in May 2018, one of the things we said, because a lot of people had said, sure, Joanne, sure, we're grand here, or sure, what can we do, about it? Like, we're grand. Yeah. And one of the things that we said was, well, we can celebrate great leadership. That's what we can do. We can identify and celebrate great leadership. So the Lift Awards this is the first time we're doing them, and we are celebrating really great leadership. So there are 10 category areas, from listening to positive attitude, respect and competence, and resilience, and so on. And Lift facilitators have nominated people from around the country to where they have seen them exhibiting these really great leadership characteristics. And we had, I think, 164 or 169 nominations.
Wow.
We did not expect in our first go to get that many. And people have written amazing things about the people that they've nominated. It's really wonderful. So we have 4 judges from 4 of our partner organizations: DSB, Covalent, which is a division of CPL, Solace, and Bank of Ireland. They all they gave us four of their people that are involved in Lift. They have independently judged the awards, and they've come up with 4 people shortlisted in each category. And looking across them, it's fabulous. There are transition year, or maybe not transition year, but there's students that have been nominated: school principals, teachers, CEOs, parents, grandparents. That's fabulous. So we're thrilled to be celebrating real leaders, real good leaders. You don't have to hold a position to be leading well. You just
have to say that.
Influence.
Yeah. I was going to say that it's good to have a collective array of people in different positions, because a leader could be absolutely anyone that instructs or communicates effectively to someone else can be a leader. Could be a coach that is coaching a rugby team or a soccer or football team or whatever you want to call it. So how would you view success? How does that look for you?
So I suppose success for Lift is one thing, and that's our 10-year journey and being able to create that positive influence in Ireland and by Ireland. Personally, for me, it's probably quite different. And as a good friend of mine always says, is that, really, I think probably success is when the people that are closest to me are the ones that love and admire me most. Yeah. Sometimes we tend to behave, or I tend to behave very well in work, and maybe I'm not listening and doing all these other things at home. So success for me is getting it right on all fronts. That's really important. I don't want to, I work hard at Lift. I work hard at no matter what I do, but I don't want to get to the end and for people to say she was never there, or she wasn't there for me. So success for me is getting it right on all parts of what I do. That's important.
So how would you give back, or just say, I'm not going to say your 20-something self, and when you started out, what sort of advice could you give someone that is on that journey now, that wants to be a leader and give back, or whatever it might be? What sort of golden nuggets could you give those 20-some-year-old people now in this world of ours, just as sort of positive golden nuggets forward?
Yeah, I think probably the best thing I can give anyone is to remind everybody and really to emphasize that you are a leader. Every single person, you are a leader. The same way as I am, the same way as you are, Jason. Every single person, whether you're 20 or 40 or 14 or 80, everybody is a leader. And we can all become better at how we're leading. And I think that's something that we need to take responsibility for, and be intentional about. In my 20s, if I didn't work hard at getting better all the time, I'd just get older, and that's a bit rubbish. So I think the advice is get better every year, and it's funny, a lot of this, this is building mental muscle. That's what we're all about. It's about building mental resilience and mental muscle. And yet we're doing it all on the physical side, the going to the gym, all this kind of thing. And, there's that book that loads of people are reading about, is Get Younger Every Year. And really what Lift is all about is about get better every year, get better every year. I think, imagine what we are going to create in our world if we all just take that attitude and take tiny steps to do something about that. That would be fantastic.
They say the James Clear perspective is, if you can do 1% on everything that you do in your life, the amount of hours and time that you would improve would be absolutely phenomenal. And when you chunk it right down to 1%, it's absolutely incredible. And it's easy and it's attainable. And you don't have to really work hard at that. And I agree, the mental muscle is important. So quite a cheeky question. It's not a cheeky question. If you had a superpower for 5 minutes, how would you use it and how would you utilize it in whatever shape or form you would like?
Wow. I haven't been asked that one before. A superpower, what would I like? I think I'd probably, if I had a superpower, I think just for a short while, it would be lovely to have a communication superpower, to communicate really widely to everybody, and to demystify and demyth what leadership isn't. Because a lot of not a lot, but some of the leaders that we're seeing out there in positions at the moment aren't always displaying really good leadership characteristics and traits. And I think if I could have one communication superpower and just let everybody know you're a leader, you know, that one individual that has had really hard luck and has had, you know, a lot of sort of, you know, clouds hang over them, that you are a leader, and to build that confidence around, it's about us leading ourselves and picking ourselves up and giving ourselves, thinking about resilience and really to say, get on a lift round table. It will help. Round table online and meet other people that are looking at building their leadership muscle in different ways. We have everybody on there, everybody, all kinds of, every beautiful individual that's on there. And to communicate and just tell everybody that they're welcome, that would be great.
That's absolutely awesome. I'm glad I threw you off a little bit then. That's all right. That's really good. That makes me laugh. So that's that. But you're right. Our neurons, when they work together, they fire together and they connect. If you don't use them, you lose them. But they're always lurking in the background for you to come back. That's the way neuroscience works. So I think that's a phenomenal tool to have. So Joanne, how can people find more about you, more about the work and the positive work that you're doing? Because I think it's wonderful.
Well, Lift Ireland, LIFT Ireland.ie is our website. So thanks, Jason. That's it going up there. I'm on LinkedIn, so I'm only delighted to link in with people. Just let me know where you heard. I'll often ask people, have I met you, or how did you hear? So, you know, just let me know that it was through Jason that you heard, and I'd be happy to link in with anyone. And if anyone has any questions about Lift or wants to know more, look, just get in touch. We're delighted to hear from everybody. And the main thing is for everybody to know that there is nobody that is not welcome to Lift Ireland. It is the most inclusive and welcoming. It's for everybody. There is nobody that is not included here. I couldn't care less, you know, whether, it doesn't matter whether you have blue hair or no hair. If you believe in one party and not another, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. Everybody is welcome. It's just awesome. About being human. That's it.
And for global audiences, if, as and when Lift Ireland is phenomenal, what happens next for the? Are you planning on international?
So Lift is really about positive change in Ireland and by Ireland. Yeah. So if there are any Irish diaspora or people that are associated with Ireland that would like to be part of Lift Ireland and bring it to their communities, they just need to get in touch with me. We've already started to link in with some Irish diaspora in the Middle East. And I gave a talk over there a week or two ago, inviting Irish people in the Middle East to get involved in Lift. The same's happening in Scotland through Causeway, in Australia, and a couple of other places.
Awesome. That is absolutely phenomenal. Look, I really appreciate your time and effort on today's show. It's been really good, been very uplifting, which I always like. Thank you very much. And you've been listening to Jason Cooper on the Mindful Leadership podcast. This is going to be available on all of your platforms, your iTunes, your Spotify. please give us a 5-star rating. It'd be very much appreciated. Oh, and by the way, we'll be also on YouTube as well. Thank you once again.
Great. Thanks, Jason. Thanks a million.